was a $24 million project in the middle of the Southern Ocean. The aim, to rid World Heritage listed Macquarie Island of rabbits and rodents which were threatening the remote spot's precious flora and fauna.
On a quiet island off the coast of Australia, something deeply disturbing unfolded. What was once a safe home for thousands of tiny penguins turned into a place of horror. Years ago, a strange decision left the island crawling with rats, an invasion that no one stopped in time. The rats multiplied fast, turning the peaceful land into a nightmare for the helpless penguins. Nests were destroyed, eggs vanished, and the sound of life slowly faded from the shores. What happened next shocked the world and exposed a dark truth. Join us to explore this disturbing truth. The tragedy of Macquarie Island. In the remote Southern Ocean, approximately 1,500 kilometers southeast of Tasmania, there is a secluded island that was once teeming with life and beauty. Macquarie Island, spanning just 34 kilometers, may have seemed unremarkable at first glance with its cliffs, waves, and wind. However, beyond its rugged facade, it held a unique ecological significance as a sanctuary where diverse species thrived undisturbed for millennia. The island remained a timeless haven, undisturbed by outside forces. Enormous elephant seals lounged idly on the rugged coastlines, while regal penguins congregated in bustling groups, filling the beaches with their lively presence. On the interior of the island, lofty green vegetation such as the Macquarie Island cabbage flourished amidst dense clusters of tussock grass. It appeared as a verdant oasis within a frigid, barren expanse, a realm shielded from any potential dangers. For many ages, the creatures on the island existed free from anxiety. No predators threatened them. Petrels, among other birds, passed their days soaring over the boundless ocean, coming back to their concealed burrows only after sunset. This smart behavior ensured their safety for a long time, until the arrival of humans. In the early 1800s, the tranquility of the island was disrupted. On July 11, 1810, an explorer named Frederick Hasselborough stumbled upon the island during his quest for new hunting grounds. He declared it under British sovereignty and incorporated it into the territory of New South Wales, naming it in honor of Governor Lachlan Macquarie. Subsequently, more seafarers started to frequent the island, with one of them mentioning the sighting of a sunken ship, leading to speculation that previous discoveries could have predated Hasselborough's. Initially, the travelers only visited briefly. Hunters built basic camps near the shore to extract oil from seal fat, abandoning various items like pots, barrels, and ruined shelters. Unintentionally, they also introduced rats and mice onto the land, which had a significant impact. The rodents discovered a utopia, devoid of adversaries and overflowing with sustenance. They multiplied rapidly, expanding throughout the island at a rapid pace. They pillaged bird nests, targeted fledglings, and even preyed on fully grown birds while they slumbered in their dens. The petrels, previously secure in their underground dwellings, were now vulnerable prey for the rodents. Their offspring vanished without a trace, and their plaintive calls slowly vanished from the darkening sky. The invasion of mice on the island disrupted the delicate balance of the ecosystem by consuming a variety of insects such as beetles, spiders, moths, and larvae. These small creatures were essential for maintaining the harmony of the ecosystem. With every bite, the mice gradually deteriorated the interconnected web of life that had been established over centuries. The seal hunters, preoccupied with their chase, observed an unusual occurrence. Their provisions were mysteriously disappearing, and their cabins were filled with strange noises at night. Rats and mice had invaded in full force. Despite their frustration towards the pests, they failed to comprehend the extent of the harm being caused. For over 100 years, between 1810 and 1919, people captured seals and penguins on Macquarie Island for their oil. Countless creatures perished, causing the once lively island to fall silent. The cliffs, which had previously resounded with the voices of penguins and seabirds, fell into quietude. The large seal populations disappeared, leaving the beaches deserted. The vibrant land became desolate and barren. With no obstacles in their way, the rodents persisted in causing quiet havoc. They gnawed through roots, seeds, and blossoms, leaving behind only dying vegetation patches. Due to the absence of insects for pollination and birds to disperse seeds, the lush greenery that once dominated the island slowly diminished. The once prominent Macquarie Island cabbage and dense tussock grass began to dwindle. Once individuals became aware of the situation, it was nearly at a point of no return. A place that was once a vibrant and thriving ecosystem had transformed into a cautionary tale about the delicate balance of nature. The vibrant island, filled with beauty and sound, was destroyed due to human intervention and the introduction of invasive species. But experts devised a method to curb the rapid destruction forming. Stay with us. When help turned to harm. Initially, the plan appeared straightforward. There was a suggestion to introduce cats to Macquarie Island in an attempt to manage the rapidly increasing rat and mouse population. The infestation of rodents had become severe, causing damage to food supplies and disrupting the island's fragile ecosystem. It was considered a smart approach, but the outcome that followed became a tragic tale in the realm of nature. The felines fulfilled their intended purpose, however. They went above and beyond. In an environment where birds had no concept of danger from predators, they were vulnerable. The cats were relentless in their pursuit of prey, not only for sustenance, but as a form of entertainment. Daily, they traversed the island's grassy areas, cliff edges, and shorelines, preying on seabirds with no means of evasion. The devastation was heart-wrenching. Approximately 60,000 seabirds perished annually, averaging around 160 deaths each day. The island's unique creatures suffered the most severe consequences. The Macquarie Island rail, a petite bird unable to fly, and the vibrant, lively parakeet vanished forever. Over 10 bird varieties became extinct, with some disappearing before researchers had the chance to observe them. The initial intention to rescue the island ultimately led to the decimation of a significant portion of its wildlife. The situation worsened as the cats were unable to solve the original problem they were brought in for. The rat population continued to grow, discovering new spots to hide and sources of food. Instead of managing the rodents, the cats added to the destruction on the island. What was once a harmonious and stable environment had transformed into a battleground between predators and prey. In the mid-1980s, the circumstances had reached a breaking point. Researchers and environmentalists recognized the urgent need for action. An initiative was set in motion to eradicate the feral cat population and restore the island's seabird population. After extensive planning and effort, by June 2000, the final cat out of the almost 2,500 had been successfully removed. The outcomes were swift and positive. Seabirds started coming back. Decades-old empty nests began to be filled with eggs and chicks once more. The island appeared to be rejuvenated. However, just as optimism was growing, a previous error resurfaced to trouble Macquarie Island. Some time ago, rabbits were set free in that area with good intentions of offering a potential food supply for stranded sailors. Little did anyone know the havoc that would ensue. In a territory lacking predators and abundant with lush vegetation, the rabbit population skyrocketed uncontrollably. They proliferated across the landscape, devouring all vegetation in their wake. In 1968, their population grew rapidly to over 100,000. Instead of grazing lightly on grass or leaves, they uprooted plants completely, leaving the land barren. The once verdant hills of Macquarie Island became denuded, eroded hillsides. Due to the absence of vegetation to prevent erosion, the soil started to disintegrate and wash away due to the elements. Scientists were determined to halt the devastation, so they implemented a disease known as myxomatosis in the early 1980s. This tactic was effective for a short period of time, resulting in a significant decrease in the rabbit population to approximately 10,000. However, the damage inflicted upon the island was already severe by that point, and therefore, the consequences became unbearable. Let's dive in. The heavy price. In the year 2006, the long-term effects of almost 200 years of damage culminated in a dramatic event. A large landslide swept down the cliffs in Lusitania Bay, covering a crucial king penguin colony with tons of soil and rubble. Countless birds perished instantaneously, creating a devastating scene and serving as a startling wake-up call. The previously tranquil paradise now revealed the extensive consequences of human intervention over the years. During their visit to Macquarie Island, researchers were amazed at the sight before them. The previously verdant landscape was now desolate and damaged. What was once teeming with plant life had now become a barren wasteland. The unchecked proliferation of rabbits had decimated nearly half of all vegetation. With no plants to prevent soil erosion, the land was in a state of constant decay. The once stable hillsides were now crumbling, burrows collapsing, and the ground itself appeared to be disintegrating. The ripple effect swept through the whole island. The petrels, who made their homes underground, saw their burrows collapse as the ground gave way. Penguins struggled to locate secure spots for nesting, leaving their eggs vulnerable to the elements. Albatross fledglings, previously concealed by tall grass, now found themselves perched precariously on exposed, slick cliffs. Without vegetation to offer protection, predators such as skuas found hunting to be a breeze. The long-standing natural equilibrium was abruptly disrupted, erasing thousands of years of stability. In the mid-2000s, the statistics revealed a troubling situation. Researchers approximated that around 36,000 rats, 100,000 mice, and over 300,000 rabbits were freely moving around the island. This invasion was devastating. The indigenous flora, which used to flourish all over the land, had dwindled down to just a handful of scarce survivors, a few of them being safeguarded within fenced-off enclosures. Two types of orchids that were exclusive to this island were at risk of vanishing permanently. The complete scenario was not just a catastrophe, but it was identified by scientists as a trophic cascade. This referred to a chain reaction triggered by a single disruption that impacted all levels of the food chain. Every effort to resolve the issue ended up intensifying the situation. Introducing cats to eradicate the rats resulted in the unintended consequence of decimating numerous seabirds. Removing the cats led to an uncontrollable surge in the rabbit population. Using disease to manage the rabbit population caused unforeseen harm to other species. In 2006, the rabbit population grew rapidly, causing damage to the island's vegetation. The lack of roots led to loose soil, which combined with heavy spring rains caused landslides, including one that destroyed a penguin colony. As a result, significant portions of the island's cliffs began collapsing into the sea, resulting in the destruction of nests, chicks, and entire bird colonies within seconds. A few years later, a study was released that validated the fears of many. The initial positive impact of removing the cats on the bird population was overshadowed by the subsequent overpopulation of rabbits. The island found itself trapped in a vicious cycle where every attempt to solve one problem only led to another catastrophe. Some experts believe that the situation worsened due to the decline in the use of a disease previously keeping rabbits in check, while others highlighted the underlying complexities of the issue. But they finally found a way out. What method was used to heal the land? Stick around. The final rescue of Macquarie Island. In 2007, Macquarie Island was on the brink of total devastation. The previously picturesque landscape had turned into an environmental catastrophe. Devoid of vegetation and infested with rodents, the authorities in Australia and Tasmania reached a breaking point and determined that drastic action was necessary. The last remaining option was a comprehensive elimination of every single pest on the island. This ambitious plan had a staggering price tag of over $24 million and would require almost a decade to execute. The project went down in history as the most ambitious pest eradication effort ever undertaken globally. The operation kicked off with a daring and dangerous move. Infected carrots were used to bring a lethal rabbit virus to the island, causing a rapid decrease in the rabbit population. This sudden development brought a glimmer of optimism after years of darkness. But it was just the start of the journey. The next step was a large-scale baiting strategy. Helicopters flew at low altitudes over the island, dispersing over 300 tons of vivid green poison pellets over the rocky terrain and valleys. It was crucial to carry out the operation during the winter months when the majority of seabirds were not present in order to prevent any harm to them. Following the baiting, numerous poisoned animal remains were manually gathered to safeguard scavengers and stop any additional pollution. Despite the team's hard work, the threat persisted. The presence of even a single surviving rat or rabbit had the potential to set off a chain reaction of disaster once again. Therefore, additional support was requested in the form of 12 expertly trained dogs, such as spaniels, terriers, and labradors. These were no ordinary canines, but rather advanced conservation animals with a keen sense of smell. Their training enabled them to identify the faintest hint of pests, such as a single rat dropping from a considerable distance. The canines and their guides encountered severe icy rain, thick mud, and precarious cliffs. They spent months scouring every bit of land on the island. One of the dogs, a Labrador by the name of Wags, emerged as a courageous figure. In the latter part of 2011, Wags and her trainer, Melissa Houghton, stumbled upon the final surviving rabbits, a mother and her offspring, concealed deep in a secluded area of the island. This astonishing find highlighted the potential near miss of their mission failing. Teams spent an additional 2 years scouring every valley and ridge for any remaining pests. In 2013, 3 more detection dogs were introduced to ensure complete eradication. The achievement of declaring Macquarie Island pest-free on April 8, 2014, marked a historic milestone after over 2 centuries. This was recognized as the most extensive and effective island pest eradication effort to date. But one question lingered. Will the island go back to what it was before the arrival of rats? The miracle of Macquarie Island's healing. Over 2 centuries of devastation had left Macquarie Island in a state of uncertainty, causing concern for scientists and conservationists. Once the invasive species were eradicated, the island appeared desolate and empty. The land had been ravaged. The landscape seemed devoid of life, and there was skepticism about the possibility of swift recovery. Specialists cautioned that it could be decades, possibly 30 to 50 years, before any substantial progress in restoration would be noticeable. However, nature had different intentions in mind. The initial miracle unfolded in a subtle manner, emerging from the depths of the earth. After being dormant for many years and concealed under layers of debris, the seeds unexpectedly started to grow. Vegetation that had managed to grow by holding on to fence posts and rocky crevices started to proliferate throughout the area. Gradually, the island that appeared to be lost began to regain its lushness. Melissa Houghton, who was formerly in charge of the courageous dog team that tracked down the final pests, made the decision to stay on the island in the role of a scientist. The unbelievable transformations that unfolded over the subsequent years left her in awe. The tussock grass, previously eaten down to its roots by rabbits, now towered over human height. The majestic mega-herbs, known for their substantial leaves and vibrant blooms, made a striking comeback. Desolate valleys were transformed into flourishing meadows, teeming with vibrant hues and vibrant wildlife. The animals returned along with the resurgence of the plants on the island. The petrels, a type of small seabirds that had disappeared, started coming back. The white-headed petrel, which was on the brink of extinction, began to nest in large quantities once more. The gray and blue petrels, which had been missing for more than 100 years, made a comeback to the primary island. The return of these birds was not just symbolic, but a clear indication that the island's ecosystem was thriving once again. As the birds came back, the land became more fertile. Their waste enriched the soil, promoting the rapid growth of plants. The plants, in return, offered protection and sustenance to additional birds. It was a lovely pattern of regeneration where life supported life. The progress did not end there. Uncommon plants previously believed to be close to disappearing started to expand into fresh territories. Endangered orchids that were once enclosed for safeguarding now roamed freely in nature. An unusual plant known as Hupertitia australiana, which had only a handful of surviving individuals, started to blanket extensive areas of the island. Researchers currently claim that Macquarie Island is hosting a greater number of indigenous wildlife than it has had in the past century and a half. Certain bird populations are increasing by 10% annually, marking a significant success in conservation efforts. Satellite images have uncovered a vast expanse of greenery, where previously only dry, lifeless land could be seen. This change is being hailed as one of the most remarkable environmental recoveries ever observed. However, those who are responsible for the protection of Macquarie Island have not overlooked the difficult experiences from before. The island's delicate tranquility is now safeguarded by stringent biosecurity protocols. Each individual who visits and all deliveries of supplies undergo thorough inspections. Canines are used to carefully examine cargo, and even the tiniest compartment on a jacket is meticulously cleaned and vacuumed. The reintroduction of just one rat or rabbit could potentially recreate the nightmare that required 10 years to eradicate. Despite the ongoing obstacles the island encounters, such as the introduction of invasive bird species like the European starling and domestic mallard, the restoration of Macquarie Island serves as a beacon of optimism. It serves as a testament to the fact that when provided with an opportunity, nature possesses an extraordinary ability to repair, regenerate, and flourish once more. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.